Women, don't date a man with abs. Look, fat is energy.
Wait a minute. Hear this.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. Birdy num num.
What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of the Birdy Num Num podcast. Sanjay Manaktala here, having a good week, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. And this week on the podcast, we are doing something different. It's been a few months since I've had a guest, but I'm very excited to have this week's guest, comedian extraordinaire, Mr. Richard Sarvate. What's up?
What's up, dude? This is baller, man. Thank you for having me, man.
No, man. Thank you for coming here. And it's so weird to talk to you in my podcast voice because we are friends.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird, but I think I'll ease into it.
Yeah. No, that's why I warmed Richard up. We were sitting downstairs for like an hour, just like catching up. But I was also doing my podcast due diligence by like kind of getting him at ease and all of that.
Yeah.
But we're buddies, dude. Richard, you were at my wedding. We have done stand-up together for years, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. I told jokes at your wedding.
He told jokes at my wedding.
Yeah.
And him and a bunch of other comics roasted me, and it was good fun. But dude, Rich, thanks for coming on the show, first of all.
Hell yeah, dude.
Freaking, we are sitting here in Hollywood, California at my buddy's place with $1 million view, hoping one day we can afford a similar view with our comedy.
Yes, dude. Yeah. If 1 cent per Pandora stream, if everybody on this podcast listens to my comedy 20,000 times over, maybe.
Maybe we can afford rent here for a week. Yeah. So, Pandora, I forgot about that. Yeah. But Rich, for the listeners, maybe I think a lot of people definitely have seen a lot of your stuff on TikTok, especially recently on Instagram, on Facebook. You and I have done some small videos together in the past. Just like if you can give a quick 1-minute overview of your background from, where you were working up until where you are today.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I went to college for computer science.
In California?
In California, yeah, at UC San Diego.
Okay.
So I got a computer science degree. Went into my first job out of college was doing sales engineering for a company that sold like legal software. Okay. So I would just fly around the country and install software. Okay. And then my childhood friend convinced me to join a startup he was a part of. And he asked me like 4 times. And I was like, eventually I said, yeah. Joined the startup, worked there. It used to be, it was a plugin for Outlook. Maybe you remember, it's called Zobny. And it used to do like email analytics.
Oh, okay. Like what was the biggest use case for it? Like how many opens, how many clicks, that sort of thing?
Pretty much. Yeah. And also like tracking your activity. Like, oh, you are most likely to send an email at this point, or you usually talk to Fred at 3 p.m. on Fridays.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole technology was like predicting your behavior on email.
Sure.
So I worked at that startup for 3 years, and then we got bought by Yahoo.
Okay.
And then that was very lucrative, and I managed to work at Yahoo for a little bit. I worked at Yahoo for 3 years, and then eventually I was like, okay, I've built up my nest egg, and I just outright quit and started doing stand-up.
So you quit a comfortable Silicon Valley, right?
Yep.
So you quit a comfortable Silicon Valley job. By the way, before I get into that, I've always wondered, at Yahoo, can you Google stuff?
It is highly frowned upon.
It is.
Yeah, well, it's always like a running joke around the office, like, oh, like especially if you're using Gmail, that's like people are going to look at you like, hey, watch out.
Because half of, I was computer science also, and this podcast always has ex-engineers turned creatives. That's just part of the Desi way, which, by the way, if you don't know, Richard Sarvate is a Desi name.
Yes. I'm 100% Indian, but people just don't really know that.
Yeah. And this is where I would cut in a 2-second clip from his dry bar where he talks about his name. But boom, baby. That's what we call placement. But like, I've always wondered, because engineers, when you see an error message on whatever you're coding, you immediately just Google it to figure out how to make it go away.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think no, Googling stuff was okay because Yahoo's search engine is not like, I think it's Yahoo's it has Bing in the background
Sure.
and stuff like that. But no, Google is far more efficient. So they all kind of knew that like, yeah, you're going to be Googling stuff.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like you work at Hyundai and you show up in a Toyota, like it's bound to happen in a big company or whatever.
Pretty much, yeah. But
Yeah.
the main frowned upon thing was using Gmail, because like I literally was on the Yahoo Mail team.
Uh-huh.
So if you bust open Gmail, your boss would kind of be like,
Yeah. You're like, just send me that on my personal mail. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So did you decide to go into comedy were you already doing comedy while you were working at Yahoo?
Yeah. So yeah, I started doing stand-up in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I had wanted to do stand-up a lot earlier. Like back in college, I'm talking probably 2003, I went to like an open mic and just was too scared to go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point I decided, I was like, okay, maybe comedy isn't for me.
Sure.
So, but years went by and I started hating my job where I was flying around the country. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try again. And so, yeah, I managed to start again in 2011.
Dude, I feel like, a couple of our mutual friends have a show called We Are Not the Same Person. I know you know all those girls. There's a group of Desi girls in LA who have a show called We Are Not the Same Person. But you and me, we are not the same person, but we almost have an identical story, dude.
Yeah.
Because Accenture flew around the country, really hated it after a while, even though I thought it was all I ever wanted was frequent flyer points and decent money.
Yeah.
And then creative was calling, and same thing, did stand-up comedy for a year, never looked back for like 4 or 5 years, then started up again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I needed something in it to like prove that I was either validated or that I could do it, or I was just addicted to the chase of figuring it out,
I feel like you should just come and sit on this side and interview yourself.
This is Richard Sarvate's podcast. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So, but what I find fascinating about being your friend and seeing your journey is, you did the corporate thing, you've done stand-up comedy, but you and me both, like, it's like now in the last 2 years, you've really started to embrace being somebody who's creative, but who treats it not only as a career and also as a job, but you're very active on social media and with your marketing, and not marketing in a hacky way, like watch my show.
Yeah.
But in a way that is, here's my talent. You're making sketches, you're doing stand-up clips, and you're sharing it. And you're very popular in the last few months on TikTok with explosive growth. So
yeah.
Can you talk about like your social media kind of journey from either not wanting to do it, hating it, or loving it from the get-go to where you got to now?
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, it's like I just want to reach as many people as possible. So I used to always post on social media. But I definitely ran into lots of frustrations with just not enough people watching my stuff. Like I would put, I've had a YouTube channel since, 2003.
Sure.
And, but I would just put a lot of effort into stuff and then get, few hundred views or a few thousand views. And, then I would feel kind of like depressed about it. Like, oh, nothing's happening. So I think after putting out tons and tons and tons of content and getting very little traction, I kind of just started focusing on live, just because I felt like, oh, for some reason I'm not clicking with social media. And so then I just focused on live stand-up for several years. But my re-entry into social media was when I recorded my Dry Bar comedy special.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Utah and did a comedy special for Mormons.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was, I did 30 minutes of very clean, family-friendly material. And it was shot, beautifully on 5 Red cameras and just great audience. So record the special, but then on their platform, it didn't really blow up. Like they posted a couple of clips on YouTube. One got like 50,000 views. The other got like 80,000 views. Mm-hmm. And then within their app, like, it got some traction, but not like a lot. And I was kind of frustrated because I'm like, okay, I just want to reach people. So that's when I chopped up my Dry Bar special and just threw it all on TikTok. And then people really watched it. And so that was basically the start of my like social media going hard, like pursuing it.
So did that motivation or like push come from the fact that you got success doing that? Like, and which I'm going to lean towards yes, or was it like, okay, this just like how, so once you got those views on smaller clips, you finally kind of bought into the system?
Yeah, because up until I posted dry bar stuff on TikTok, I had never gotten more than 7,000 views on a video.
Sure.
And I'm talking that 7,000 views was like on a clip that I posted like close to 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for some reason, I just thought I was like, oh, other people can get views on social media, but there's something wrong with me that I can't do it.
Not that I'm saying I agree. I'm not saying there's something. Yeah.
Yes, you are flawed, sir.
Yeah. Oh, fine. At least you're aware. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I am too ugly for social media. I understand.
No, Richard, but go on. Yeah.
So, and then after posting on TikTok and getting a lot of traction there, I just realized that, I think, the issue with my approach was, I was basically just getting lost in the noise.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I was putting out good stuff and working really hard on stuff, but I didn't have like the right focused kind of like, it just wasn't reaching the right people because I hadn't packaged the stuff correctly. Well,
that's such a good point to kind of transition on because, we've been friends for a while, you, me, Abhay Nadkarni, another comedian, and a lot of the folks. And by the way, Richard runs a great room with comedian Abhay Nadkarni in San Francisco called The Setup, which not rest in peace, but maybe rest in pause or rest in momentum right now.
Yeah.
Or in, what's the opposite of momentum? Like stasis, I
Inertia?
guess? No, like you guys are kind of in purgatory right now because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So, but Richard and Abhay run the best room, one of the best rooms in San Francisco, and they've done it not going at it from the traditional approach, but they've used technology. They've put their, hard work in approaching venues and built something up with emails and just constant grit and determination. And you built a great product, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you were saying about learning the packaging for social media.
Right.
And I was telling you this a while ago too, like, hey, it's okay if you post something that you posted 4 months ago again. It's okay if the video only got 500 views, because this took me a long time to learn too. Like, this is not like, I think what a lot of people, and even people maybe who listen, who are like, I want to start a podcast on real estate, or I want to give 10 life advice tips on something or the other. They post something, it gets 300 views, they lose faith and they quit.
Yeah.
But you don't have like a Hollywood movie studio promoting you. You don't have 95 billboards. And so if you had made a movie in the 90s and they put $100 million of marketing budget and the movie was a flop, okay, cutting it up into shorter pieces or releasing it in a different country is not going to save it.
Right, yeah.
But for us who do videos on our cell phone or who cut stuff up, I've got bits of this podcast where the whole podcast might have 10,000 plays, but a 1-2 minute segment might have 30,000 plays.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So a lot of like movie posters have committees in boardrooms who decide who should be on the poster in terms of who will resonate with an audience, but it's the same movie.
Yeah.
So if they are packaging things up with like Harvard MBAs saying, how do we market this art? Why are we so immune to thinking just because nobody watched it once doesn't mean, like, why does that say it was bad from the get-go? It may not be.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely learned that with Dry Bar because it looked like that was part of the reason I got such a huge following was because it like looks amazing.
Sure.
And so I think people were drawn to it. It was basically packaged correctly.
Sure. And not only was it packaged correctly, then it was also, I guess, distributed correctly, right? Because had you put your 7-minute Dry Bar clip on YouTube, maybe you would have got 5,000 views. But if you just put 60 seconds about something that is very consumable by itself, maybe that gets way more views. Right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that is part of the like magic of TikTok is that like you have to get it down to a minute.
Sure.
So it's like, at first I thought, oh, this is going to make my videos bad. Mm-hmm. But then it just it helped me learn how to condense something and get rid of all the fat,
Sure. 100%. And like, the history of why feature films up until like 2010 were always 85 to 110 minutes. Do you know the history behind that?
Is it like, I don't know, that's the amount of film they could purchase for cheap or something? Or
No, but I mean that's a great that's a great that's a great idea of why it would be. But I was reading this book and they were saying basically that theaters said that's the ideal time for them to show the most shows in one day.
Oh, okay.
So like, if the movie is 85 minutes, then in a 24-hour day, considering, people will watch movies from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., then that gives them the most showings and time to clean the theater and sell snacks and all of that.
Okay.
So the sweet spot for a feature film is 85 to 110 minutes, like something like that.
Oh, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, there's a lot of things in movies that are like that. Like one thing is that like all movies are shot in 24 frames per second, and that was just done for back in the day because that was to save money on film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with 24 being for movies. But the thing is that like it's so funny because for movies you use less frames than you do for YouTube videos.
Got it. Okay.
But it's like this weird magic happened because movies are 24 frames, it looks dreamy. You know what I mean? It looks like you can like get sucked into it.
No, and also, probably subconsciously we associate watching 24 frames with a big screen, being in a dark room.
Oh, definitely.
The smell of popcorn and our first kiss after the movie or whatever.
Is that when your first kiss was?
No, I mean, let's not. My wife is in the other room, so let's not go there. But cool. Okay. So, that brings me to my next. I have notes today because even this feels so weird, but I hope not for the listeners because Rich and I are friends. But I have scheduled to our conversation.
Let's reiterate that we are friends.
We are friends, yes, but I am talking to him as a guest today. So, friend first, by the way. Live performance versus online. Now, you and me have a lot of background in this.
Yeah.
We see what works in reality and what works online, and those aren't always one and the same.
Oh, you're talking about like a Zoom comedy show?
A Zoom comedy show, doing a joke from a tweet that doesn't fly in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a joke from real life that kills, that does nothing as a tweet.
Yeah.
Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, the mediums are very different. Like, it's so interesting. Like, being funny on Twitter is different than being funny on Instagram, which is different than being funny on YouTube, which is different than being funny on stage. And I definitely... I really do pride myself on having a lot of jokes that are very good for stand-up, but not for anything else, because I really do embrace the like live performance medium.
Sure.
It's like so many of my jokes are based on like the way I look, or just like a gesture. And I mean, personally, I feel like very proud of that because it's like I really use all the tools that are, given to me in stand-up. Whereas there's no way in a tweet, you can't tweet a gesture of your body. You know what I mean? So I think it's like, every medium is completely different. Even if they're like fairly similar, like Instagram and YouTube, like there are still different ways to approach either of those.
No, 1,000%. And it's so funny. I was talking to my buddy and he was complaining about Tinder during coronavirus and dating during coronavirus. And I was like, yeah, dude, I feel like Tinder even is rough because you're not swiping on personalities. You're strictly swiping on one dimension, which is attractiveness physically.
Oh, yeah.
So like you said, if you can't get a nuance of the delivery of somebody based off the tweet, then understanding the importance of platform and what it can, like how you are on LinkedIn versus how you are on Facebook or how you are on YouTube versus Twitter, I feel it's so important, dude. Like
super important. I mean, it's so funny because like a lot of people are hilarious on Twitter, but they're bad stand-up comedians. It's like, I think the live performance is interesting because it's not about, it's about writing, but it has a lot to do with performance. And so it depends. If you're a very good writer, you're going to kill on Twitter. If you're a very good, if you have a lot of energy and personality, you're going to kill on stage.
Sure. But we have to like if you were an engineer at Google, eventually as you climb up the ranks, you're going to have to get over your fear of public speaking and start presenting at like tech conferences or if you want to be a vice president or whatever the hell, right? So I feel like, what do you think the future of most stand-up comedians is going to be now that it seems like for the next 3 to 6 months, possibly a year.
Yeah.
It was hard enough to sell tickets to a comedy show before in a booming economy in like 2018 and 19. So it's hard enough to get 30 people in a dark, dingy room unless you've, bless you,
Thank you.
unless you've cracked. What do you think the future is going to be like for most people who obviously don't have that luxury, but now it's going to be even harder for people to want to get into a room?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I like to be guided by the universe. I mean, I know
Sure.
this is kind of like a technical podcast.
We are in the Hollywood Hills. You know?
Let me just pull out my jade crystal.
Oh my
real
God, Karen
quick.
is here. Yeah.
But like I feel like this whole pandemic was, every person who is dealing with this pandemic has to acclimate in their own way. So we're stand-up comedians, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm just going to wait for stand-up to come back, and I'm not going to do anything until I can get 60 people in a small room. So this is like I think stand-up comedians that are not pivoting hard right now are like doing themselves a big disservice. Like, this is the time to get good at doing stuff that you can do in your house by yourself.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I think that freaking we have this weird tendency with stand-up comedy. Number one, like you were alluding to earlier, dude, stand-up is not linear, Right. I had millions of views, hundreds of thousands of followers 4 years ago. Right now, and the algorithms know that, but it doesn't mean your next video is going to kick on any algorithm, right? On any platform. And tomorrow, some kid who's graduating college might be more famous than you and me combined and 10 of our closest friends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely that age of a linear progression in stand-up is over. Like, I think you did have that maybe 80s and 90s. Like it go to an open mic. Oh, you crush at the open mic. That open mic takes place at a club, and the booker is there and says, you know what, we're going to let you perform on a Thursday. And then you do well on Thursday. And now you're doing you're featuring on the weekend. And now enough people know you. Now you start touring the country and you start headlining clubs. That used to be a thing.
And now Ray Romano says, oh, come on my show. And the rest is history or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But now there is nothing like that. I mean, so I've been doing stand-up for 9 years, and I've gotten past, which means, you get to work. I've gotten past at like several amazing comedy clubs.
Sure.
And that does not do anything for me. Like if I feature for a week at a club, I'll make $100 a spot for 5 spots. So that's $500 for a week of work.
Yeah, which you would have been making a day at Yahoo or something. Like,
yeah, with one click of a button, I would make 3 times that much.
Yeah, with Googling stuff at Yahoo. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I wish. I feel like like somebody in investment banking saying people are printing money, there's going to be a crash like in 2007 or whatever. Like, because we used to think as stand-ups. And not only just stand-ups, anything. And for a lot of people here who are listening and want to be a writer, a filmmaker, you have this tendency, and it's a good tendency because it's coming from a good place. It's like, I'm all about the craft. I want to do all the work. I want to struggle, all of that stuff. And then they shun people who are like trying to do it a slightly different way. Or I used to think, why are you taking headshots? You just need to write your jokes and you'll be discovered.
Right.
And it's coming from a good place, but dude, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it make a sound? If you haven't worked on at least understanding why people follow people on Twitter or why people make sketches and how jokes can be better in different formats and learning video editing and film editing, then no one's going to get to see you because you're not figuring out the other tools in your arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to, it depends on what your value system is. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, no, being a comic means sleeping on couches for 5 years. And then somebody sees me one day and they pluck me out of obscurity. Like, a lot of people have that as their like dream. Yeah. And it's like, but you're doing yourself a disservice by hanging on to that. That's a concept that you created in your own brain.
Yeah.
And so.
And it's like, you're not. And if you were writing jokes 24/7, I can even understand that because you're just like the freaking Mozart trying to play piano in his basement or whatever. But most comics don't do that.
No.
They gossip, they get high, they hang around and drink too much, or just sit around. So there's a lot of wasted time that could be used in audio editing, podcasting, writing, social media, A, B, C, D, and E. Right?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think you turned me on to a lot of that. Like,
oh shit, you heard it here first, folks. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I definitely think like, I definitely think you were one of the first people that like said like it's not worth it to drive 3 hours to a show where you're going to perform for like 6 people in a bar. You know, like think of how you're spending your time. Like I need to respect myself, right? So instead of driving 3 hours to perform for 6 people, I could use those 3 hours to record a video in my room, put it online, and I'm going to get more than 6 views. You know?
For sure. Yeah. And dude, he's getting freaking 20 million views on like a TikTok and he's doing amazing. But also it's like, go drive those 3 hours. But then if you're doing that, the 3 hours there, listen to a podcast on podcasting or on using Adobe After Effects or watch a YouTube video while you're in the green room about freaking, I don't know, like, you know, how to use the new Canon camera or whatever. But like, would you agree you have so many comic friends? And I'm asking, so I mean, it's fine if you don't, but
yeah,
who always say they're going to make that sketch, they're going to make that video, but then they can't find an editor or they can't find the guy to shoot it.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, it makes me so angry when people say that to me. Like I'm cranking out stuff and I have friends like, and I'll literally put my friends in sketches and I'll be like, hey, can you like post some videos on your page, you know, so that like when people see you in my sketch, they can go to your page and see that you have some content. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll probably do it. But you know, like my parents are coming over this week. And it's always like that. Like they manage to figure out why they can't do it.
It's so, dude, why do you think that is though? Like, is it?
I think it's self-preservation. Like, I think it's, you're protecting yourself from a negative outcome. So like, I think a lot of people are not making sketches because they don't want it to get 10 views.
But they're going to go spend 6 hours performing for 3 people.
Right. Yeah. I think it's very like, it's not visible when you're driving 3 hours to perform for 6 people. I think if you put a video online that got only 10 views, then it's like you look like a failure. And I think that's what they're afraid of. Yeah.
So dude, it's like most of the real failures I know, I'm not targeting anybody because I've been there, are so scared of looking like failures that they end up being failures because they never actually fail.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the fact that you've done nothing means technically you have failed because you're not doing shit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think learning to fail is like one of the most exciting things that I ever learned to do. Like I literally would make a sketch and I'd be like, I mean, I made it and I'd be like, but it's not the funniest thing. But I would just put it out.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have made the good ones had you not made the shitty ones.
Yeah, it's totally true.
You wouldn't have learned how to use masking or keyframing if had like in some editing software on those crappy videos. And dude,
yeah,
here's the other thing. Your buddy who's getting sad that he only got 100 views, that's 100 real people. That's 19 more open mics for him.
Yeah. People don't quantify. Like when people look at a view on a video, that number to them does not register as a person.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's ridiculous. There are people on TikTok, like like their video gets 2,000 views and they go, oh, my video flopped. It's like, dude, your video got 2,000 views.
But that is 2,000 views, dude. And the other thing is like, bro, your video got 2,000 views and that should give you like the confidence to know that you can do something. But that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah. I think, well, when you get into the online game, you literally just start comparing yourself to people.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, my video got 2,000 views and oh, this picture that Kylie Jenner posted of her by the pool got 8 million likes. It's like, okay, well, I'm a failure.
So how do people get out? I mean, if you have the answer, great. If you don't, that's fine. But I'd be curious, like one thing I've learned is social media is like dealing drugs, as in the dealer doesn't consume the product. So you want to be a good drug dealer, don't spend all your time doing cocaine. Learn how to launder your money, learn how to move product, learn how to sell, learn how to get good product in your supply chain. You're selling content, I'm selling content. but I'm not sitting here like Richard got 100 million views and I only got, I might have at one point.
Yeah.
But how do you have that focus to get shit done rather than worry about what everyone else is doing when you play in that world?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And I actually even talked to my therapist about this at one point.
Yeah.
And our need to compare ourselves to other people is like very real. So I think you do have to recognize that, like, yeah, if I see another comedian getting way more views than me, that is going to make me upset. So we talked about like if you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, you need to like literally set up a mental trigger to focus on yourself. So anytime you're feeling sad that somebody else is doing better than you, you need to recognize that experience and use that and focus back on yourself. And you can like build like a neural pathway. You can retrain your mind.
I mean, did he or she, I mean, you don't have to discuss it if you don't want to,
okay.
But did they give you any tips on how to do that aside from try to remember to do that?
Well, I mean, I think it's the trigger. So you're setting things up. So like it would be the same way that like, okay, when I wake up, the first thing I do is write my dreams in a notebook.
Sure.
So you're tying the experience of waking up to grabbing your notebook. Right. So if you do that enough times, that becomes a habit.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So yeah, you do have to remember it, but like after a while you go, oh man, that guy got a lot of views. Oh, right. I'm supposed to focus on myself.
Sure.
And then you do it like 20 times and you just start focusing on yourself.
That's a great point, because I was reading, there was 2 books I read in the last few months. One was Atomic Habits, and another was Power of Habit.
Yeah.
And there was some overlap between the two, but he was saying the same thing. Like, try to do things in like a location, like your bedroom or your bed or whatever, and those things will become synonymous with that. Like one thing I've been struggling with in another book I'm reading right now, Cybernetics, is like, he says it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to other people because it's natural for whatever reason. It's like checking your Facebook. I will literally close Facebook and the other browser tab will be Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
And I won't even realize what I've done. Like checking the fridge twice in 2 seconds. Right? Yeah. Because it's become such an ingrained habit. So now that I recognize I go into these negative spirals by seeing some shit on social media, I try to every morning, they say, just think about good stuff as like an exercise. So for you, you're writing your dreams down maybe. Yeah. For me, I mean, I'm talking like I'm 2 weeks into this. Like for me, every morning I wake up and for like 3 minutes, I'm just like, what were the best moments I had in the last 5 years? Like, okay, that video going viral, getting a job, getting a promotion, my marriage, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah. And the only reason I'm doing that is not to be like, remember Al Bundy for touchdowns, poke high, married children? You ever watch that? Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm not trying to live vicariously in the past. I'm just trying to give myself some bit of positive thought, like push-ups. So eventually I get into that habit again, however long it takes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and also I think with social media, you do have to recognize first and foremost that it is a problem. Like a lot of times, like you see someone doing better than you, like you think like, oh, I'm supposed to be happy for this person, but you're not recognizing you're not like acknowledging your feeling that, oh, I feel bad. Yeah. Because that's very taboo to feel bad when your friend does better than you.
It's like, suck it up, bitch, or like whatever. Yeah. That's how we've talked that's the voice in my head. Yeah.
Nice. But one thing also I did is like, so a lot of people get self-conscious on social media because I think it's more that you're afraid of being judged by the people you know rather than like anonymous people on the internet.
And you're also jealous of your neighbor who got the Mercedes more than you are of that guy in New York who you don't know who got the Mercedes.
100%. Yeah. You know? So actually one thing I had to do for a while, and the reason that TikTok was so good for me is that I didn't follow too many of my friends. And I also didn't have too many of my friends following me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I was literally communicating just with the fan base. And this is even like this, I would actually block my friends, which is like a little extreme, but like I literally, I did not want to post a clip and have, someone that I know really well watch it and then, have them know what I did. I just wanted my freedom of expression. So I blocked all the stand-up comedians I knew on TikTok. And then I was able to just post my stuff and concentrate on me.
Dude, that's a fantastic, I never even thought of that. But even before we started recording, I was telling you like, yo, I've been like, I tried TikTok for like 30 days, like 6 months ago. And as always, fell off the wagon, forgot about it, doubled down on Instagram. And then I've been watching you. So I was like, let me just take some of my Instagram content, put it on TikTok. Stuff started bombing, whatever. But I did it very like not caring as much about it.
Yeah.
Because no one's really on it. I don't really have many followers there, whatever.
Yeah.
And then this morning, for shits and giggles, I put something and that video did like 25,000 views. And I was like, wow, I didn't give a shit about this. And I naturally just thought about it. I didn't analyze 600 hashtags and it did well.
Yeah. Congrats, man.
So no, but thank you. But I was like, maybe that's something. And what you said about doing it when, that's so ironic that on a network where it was add me as a friend, you're succeeding when you don't give a shit about the friend part.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're just we're all afraid of being judged.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you get rid of judgment?
No, and these platforms, for better or worse, it's, they sell it like anything and we don't even realize because right now we are in like, it's called the attention economy.
Yeah.
Right. Time is money and time is also the most valuable asset because it's finite. Right.
Yeah.
Like we only have so much. So in a world like that, I want to move this into, we've got about 50 more minutes. You good for that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this
like,
is fun.
How do you, when it comes to actual content writing and, taking it away from like the mental health stuff, how are you approaching writing content, number one? And, based on your experience in the office world, in the tech world, in the stand-up comedy world, how has all of that kind of come together for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm using my my experience in the corporate world right now. So I kind of have to think. Maybe it'll come to me how I'm doing it. But like in terms of generating content, I'm basically just focusing on creating stuff that I enjoy. So a lot of times before, I think I used to think I had to put out something or I had to like create some sort of type of content, but I don't think I was like invested in it. And now I think I'm just focused on making myself laugh. So with my Night of the Living Karens, I mean, it's a ridiculous idea. I mean, it's like I'm pretending that a white suburban woman is a zombie and she can infect you,
Sure.
Like, that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
That is so ridiculous. And so that's something I feel excited about doing.
So how did that particular whole premise, sketch, conception to creation come about? Like over a drink, chatting with a friend, you were actually writing every morning. Like how did you come up with that from beginning to end?
It was pretty organic. So my friend, he's a comedian, Zach Chapeloni. He's the one that I do the series with.
He's the one that says, "Oh, Richard, that guy."
Yeah,
that's become
Richard. He loves saying that too.
Yeah.
But so on my birthday, I mean, this was during lockdown. I had my birthday on June 1st, which was like very like lockdown is like very like hardcore.
Sure.
And so on my birthday,
Gemini.
I'm a Gemini.
I'm a Gemini. June 13th, baby. Yeah. So
Oh, okay, nice. But so we hung out on my birthday just because I wasn't going to have a party or anything. So we just me and him, and we hung out for like, 8 hours and just had a great day. Didn't really talk about like comedy too much, but then, like a week later, maybe like 3 weeks later, we were just hanging out in his kitchen and he was saying that, his idea was that he's like, oh, what if somebody really wants to hang out with a group of friends, but they don't want him to hang out with them. And so he turns into a Karen as like a way of like masking the fact that he wants to hang out. And
he doesn't want to hang out, you mean?
Yeah, he does want to hang out. Yeah, but he's acting like a Karen because he's too insecure about telling people that he wants to be part of their group. So he's just being a bitch and like kind of shutting out all their stuff down. And I thought about that idea, and he's like, oh, it's like, he's becoming a Karen, but he really wants to like be with his friends. And then so I took that idea and I just simplified it. I'm like, what if I get bitten by a Karen?
Yeah.
And so that was just like, so that's just A to B without
Sure.
like this whole like fluffy thing in there.
And
So
were you approaching it from TikTok or Instagram, or you were just still whiteboarding a sketch
yeah, this was just a sketch. I was not approaching it
from platform?
Yeah, platform independent.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think right. Yeah, it probably would have just been a. I think we just went with TikTok just because I had a following there.
Fair. So he had the idea for. So you said because I want you to keep going on that kind of
Yeah.
thought. Like, okay, so you simplify it to that, and then that was like the word go, or you guys kept jamming on it until.
Oh right. So yeah, I think we were just like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, and then we just. It was very. All we needed was. We were like, okay, so I'm going to get bitten by Karen.
Yeah.
So we need someone who's going to. We need some sort of altercation that I'm going to get into.
Having beer on your lawn or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just came up with a scenario. We're like, okay, we're hanging out, we're drinking beer, and this woman accuses us of drinking in public.
Yeah.
I get into a fight with her. She bites me. I'm infected. And it's like, it was just as quick as that.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm just thinking like because basically her like in film terminology, her biting you is like the inciting incident. You
Yeah.
know, so I just thought of like I don't know if this is like too meta, but what if we did like on YouTube there's like all these like video analyst essay people who use like The Godfather was a great movie for its time. Francis Ford Coppola really
Yeah.
invented the Renaissance themes of blah 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 blah. Right? And, like, Tupac Shakur was like a millennial movie. Like, what if we had like video fancy film school people for like TikToks?
Oh yeah. You see what he did here? He filmed vertically, and that actually brings a different dimension to the
Yeah,
comedy.
and it's like this is killing me slowly to be analyzing a TikToker. But like,
Well, and honestly, that's true. Like, I don't think TikTok is being taken seriously yet because it's like, I mean, it's in its infancy, and it is not like I've had so many friends who they want to be serious filmmakers that are like, oh, you're making TikTok sketches?
Yeah.
Like there's a disdain for it.
until a year from now, they're like, "Can you promote my short film?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So dude, even this is like I know this is a stretch for like an analogy, but even when earlier Hollywood was all silent movies,
Right.
silent films, and then when they discovered audio and they got the technology,
Yep.
the silent filmmakers didn't want to make movies with audio.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm not saying TikTok is like that for cinema. I'm just saying like there's lessons to be learned from everything. Yeah.
Well, yeah, totally. It's like, and I'm just going to go where people like me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so it's like, I'm not going to worry about being a serious filmmaker that makes a film that no one sees.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make a vertical video that millions of people are going to watch on TikTok.
And wouldn't a serious filmmaker also do something on TikTok that could be like nouveau or could be like very fancy or could be very moving,
Right. Well, I think it's like a lot of people. So the vertical shot format, I think, is like frowned upon by a serious filmmaker. So I don't.
But then landscape your video and tell them to flip it or make it, change the orientation or whatever. Like,
Right. Yeah. But I just don't think they've gone through that thought process. They're just like, oh, vertical shot, that seems kind of amateur.
yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because so I know we're going back to the platform stuff, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, hell, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever, Snapchat, whatever it is tomorrow, that is the ABC, HBO of today's world. CBS, NBC, like those are where the eyeballs are.
You know, it is very interesting because there is a huge like separation between social media and industry. You know what I mean? It's like, so in terms of like, yeah, the number of eyeballs, yeah, social media is where it's at. And actually there are less eyeballs on TV and movie than there used to be. But there's still a separation between social media and industry.
Of course. And all the structure is in industry and all the money right now is in industry.
Right.
Whereas, all the eyeballs are in like, dude, if Joe Rogan is getting $100 million podcast deal,
Right.
if people off of their tweets are getting book deals,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it should be that way or it shouldn't be. I'm just saying you can see the writing on the wall where things are moving.
You know what? That's actually really exciting because it's actually not the differentiation between social media and industry that I'm so worried about. It's where's the money.
Yeah. And
So-
how do they come together?
Yeah, exactly. So right now, the thing is that like the only way to make a movie that cost $100 million to make is to be in the industry and get cast and go through this process. There's no social media movie that costs $100 million. You know what I mean? Because if you make $100 million movie, it's going through traditional channels of like being posted in, played in a movie theater and that kind of stuff. But you're right. With Joe Rogan's podcast, you're seeing money move into social media, which is super exciting. Because like, yeah, I would love to be, making high production stuff on my Instagram and on my TikTok and not have to worry about some gatekeeper.
Yeah. And dude, we harp so much on the fact that like, yeah, dude, I tweeted this the other day and self-plug on my own thing, but I was like, dude, technology is really good at wasting the time it saves you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
funny.
We've saved so much with tech, but what do we do with that time? We
that
faff
tweet
around.
Better get a bunch of likes right now.
It has 200 retweets, by the way, folks.
Oh,
Just
nice.
FYI. Yeah, last I checked 2 seconds ago while Richard was talking. No, but like, so if you're a Hollywood agency and the goal is to have eyeballs on your product, so the Avengers movie, you've got 100 million people who have watched your movie for 90 minutes, let's say as a generic example. Now, is that worth more than 200 million people listening to Joe Rogan for 180 minutes?
No.
I would think that Joe Rogan has way more in terms of watch time and attention than the Hollywood movie.
Yeah, and I think people are definitely learning that now. And I go in for like commercials and auditions for commercials and stuff like that. They love it if you have a social media following.
Sure.
Because if you get cast in a commercial for Dunkin' Donuts, they want you to post that Dunkin' Donuts commercial on your Instagram where your thousands of followers can see it.
Yeah, and they're going to pretend, because Dunkin' Donuts paid them $1 million to produce the thing.
Yeah.
They're going to pretend that little bump of 45,000 views was all them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's really annoying. Like, I mean, I get a lot of inquiries now that I have this, big social media following. And, I told you earlier, I'm struggling with like, am I going to allow these people to, get all up in my business?
But so you also have to learn what is your business, you know what I mean? And what is the,
right.
I guess a better thing to kind of take this home is, in an industry that's changing overnight and evolving so much, and especially now we throw Corona into the mix.
Yeah.
Who knows who's doing, like, what is the business model for most of us? Because like you said, in Hollywood, there is a business model.
Yeah.
Try to get a meeting, try to write a script, try to get it made, eventually take a payday, right?
Yeah.
But for us, with a changing landscape, do you think, if you had to start your social media journey again, would you know what the business model is you're going for?
Like, if I could start again, like back in 2000.
Doesn't matter. Let's say 2 months ago when you didn't have the Karen stuff going on, would you have put a Pepsi in the back or whatever, had you known? Or 2 months from now when you're doing the next thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to think about like, how do you monetize stuff? Like ideally what I would like is you just, put some ads like before or after my videos. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with TikTok, because hopefully what they can do is like, oh, an ad plays after your video and then you get a cut because people were so engaged from your video that they stayed to watch the ad. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping, because that way I'm not tarnishing my art and I'm still getting some money.
Like, I used to play so many video games as a kid. But the games I would play as a kid, I loved those because in the game, if you did something right, the narrator in the game would say nice things to you and make you feel good about yourself. You remember? Like, great job! Terrific work! Your father loves you!
What's your average day like right now? As a stand-up comedian, fairly well established, very well known now on social media, not working because of Corona in the traditional field of club comedy. Mm-hmm. What is your ideal day? And what do you think we should all be doing who are in a similar place like you?
Oh, well, okay. I mean, I actually really enjoy doing nothing.
Sure. Okay.
So I know this is kind of like a productivity podcast, but
I mean, not really, but I just want, okay, but dude, even doing nothing is doing something.
Right, exactly. I mean, like for me, like, okay, so my mind is spinning constantly and it can be very problematic because
Sure.
I start, especially during lockdown, being by myself, I start constructing all sorts of scenarios about, this person doesn't like me, oh, I did that wrong. Being alone forces you to ruminate and like create weird things in your head.
Do you meditate by any chance?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Me too. Yeah.
So, but also for me, like my meditation is not like there is a component of like sitting down and doing nothing for 10 minutes and just breathing, but also just being hyper present and aware is kind of what I'm focusing on. So my typical day is not that productive. It's like I wake up, I shower, I
get up at what time? 7, 8, 9?
I say I probably get up at 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that's just my natural body rhythm.
Sure.
I fall asleep very early and I am a morning person. But I wake up and then like it's just about like I love the ritual of getting coffee. So I mean, it's like I just go real slow. I walk to a coffee shop. I sit somewhere and I just drink my coffee. And then I get back to my apartment.
You just sit there like a person, like a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like that meme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fairly creepy.
You're not looking at your phone or anything, or you are a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But it's very much like a non-productive time.
It's like the morning paper patio coffee in the 1950s. That's your jam.
That is my jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the morning is my favorite time.
Sure. Same. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get back to my place. I do a lot of like affirmations and like stuff. I write in my notebook, things I want to happen, stuff like that. And that's also like a very relaxing activity. And I write in cursive. So it's like very like the pen flows and stuff like that. I do that for a while. And then it's usually just like, okay, what do I want to do today? Like, okay, maybe I'll watch a movie. I try to just do one thing a day. So it's like, okay, so today my day is I woke up, I did all those things. I am doing this podcast with you. And then later I'm going to go to my friend's house and watch a movie. So that's it. That is today.
Sure.
So I think it's like, I just try to focus on one or two things a day.
Sure.
And all the time in between is just listening to music, and lots of walking and cleaning. I love cleaning.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of my day. My day is very slow most days.
No, and that's also quite refreshing to hear because to be honest, I am more the opposite where I do not the opposite, but I deviate probably halfway through because I'm like, I can do about 6 things today. I can edit this podcast. Used to take me 3 hours. Now it takes me 10 minutes, right? Because I keep all my template files and my motion graphics and I have like a whatever, right? So I've learned how to do that, but same thing. Like I was reading in this book that he was saying they asked different groups of people because a lot of people who are younger, like, affirmations, hippies, whatever. Trust me, bro. I'm the last person who have bought into all that stuff, but I do because they asked like 20 people, are you going to work out every day for a month? They asked another 20 people, are you going to work out? The same question, but don't tell me, just write down what you're going to do on this piece of paper and hand it to me. And they asked another 20 people once in the month. So not every day, but are you going to work out every day? The group that said, I'm going to work out every day to the guy across the table, like 10% lost weight. But the group that said, yeah, I'm going to work out today and wrote, I'm going to do 30 push-ups and 50 sit-ups, like 80% lost weight. Because just the act of putting pen to paper and handing it to somebody made the commitment so much stronger.
Yeah, definitely. No, there's something to writing. And it's kind of weird. Like I really like it. I write things that I want to happen and they start happening. Yeah. But I write them a lot of times. Like I'm almost like psycho about it. I'll write like a sentence like 100 times of something that I want to happen.
Oh, it's same thing, dude. And like, I used to hold everything on my phone because I was like, I don't want to write on a notebook when I have a laptop and like I have like Evernote. And I'm like, man, I'd rather be inefficient and spend $1 a week on these notebooks and get shit done rather than have all the tech in the world and just try to juggle it all in my head. You know?
Yeah, totally. One thing I wanted to mention real quick is like, so I basically said that like my days are very slow and stuff like that, but I want to mention like, how does that combine with being productive? Because I am fairly productive too.
Very much. That's what, yeah.
So the way that works for me is like, I generally only concentrate on one thing. And so like right now, all I'm doing is putting out one video a week.
Yeah.
1 minute video a week. And I have done that for 6 weeks now.
And it's working great. Yeah.
And it's working great. So my thing is that I'd rather focus really hard on one thing that explodes rather than having my energy go everywhere. So right now, if the trajectory for my week is like, okay, so tomorrow I'll probably write a first draft for my next sketch. Then I'll send it to my co-writer and he'll do some notes and we'll go back on it. Then on Sunday, I might try to figure out where we're going to film it, who's going to be in it. Then Monday, I'll put together a shot list. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, we will film.
Sure.
And then on Thursday, I will spend, that takes a lot of time. I edit. I'll spend like hours editing. And then the next day I'll post. And that's it. That's going to be my entire week this week.
Sure. Yeah. And I didn't mean to say that like I work harder or faster than you or whatever. What I'm trying to say is like, I think, and I struggle with that too, where, you know, Rajiv told me, and I've mentioned it many times for the listeners who keep coming back, is, you know, go slow to go fast, in the sense, some people might try to edit 600 sketches in a week.
Yeah.
And nothing really cracks, rather than taking their time. It's okay if you only work 6 hours, not 9 hours. Yeah. It's okay if your writer didn't get back to you that night and he waited a day and you're kind of pissed off. But it's going to get done. It's not going anywhere. And do it proper. And sometimes sleeping on something does give you the solution in the morning. You know?
Yeah. I mean, this comes to like a big thing I'm concentrating on during lockdown is like seeing what I can control and what I can't control.
For sure.
So if something happens, like, yeah, my co-writer doesn't get back to me on a thing, what can am I going to text him and say, hey,
and you will be a little annoyed probably, right?
Well, like he probably wouldn't be that.
Okay, but if somebody doesn't get back to you, maybe not him, but like when those things happen, yeah.
If somebody doesn't get back to me, okay, I'm going to be a little annoyed. So then I think about that. Why am I annoyed right now? Okay, I'm annoyed because I put this energy into it and it doesn't seem like I'm getting anything back. So then I'm like, okay, what are the options? Should I call him and say, hey, can you get back to me? But I'm trying to relinquish control these days. So I only want to, if something is out of my control, I want it to just do what it's going to do. And in that way, I don't have to worry about it anymore. So my co-writer doesn't get back to me. Instead of texting him and saying, when are you going to get back? I just go do something else.
Gotcha.
And then if he gets back to me the next day, then I'm like, okay, now I can do it again.
Got it. And if he gets back to you 3 days later, where do you stand?
You know what? I would be like, that is because I'm trying to be guided right now. So I'm like, if he's not getting back to me for 3 days,
I'll figure it out on my own or whatever.
I might do it on my own, or maybe I won't post this week. I mean, that's kind of crazy too, but
sure. Yeah. But you don't let it ultimately dictate. Like you've gotten better at adjusting to whatever it demands, basically.
Yeah. So this is crazy because, okay, I read this book, which I thought it was going to be the worst book I've ever read, but it turned out to be great. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, yeah, I've read it.
I thought that book was going to be so stupid.
Like hacky millennial Instagram motivation.
Yeah, I literally thought it was going to be like The Secret. Yeah. And then somebody uploaded it on YouTube and it came up on my page and I decided to listen to it. That book is so good.
Yeah.
And the thing that the line from that book that really resonated with me was he said, needing a positive outcome is a negative experience, and accepting a negative circumstance is a positive experience.
Sure.
So boom, I just started doing that. I'm like, oh, my co-writer's not getting back to me. Great. I'm not going to work on it anymore.
Sure.
You know, and I get the power back.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, I read that book at least, I think 9-10 years ago. But
is it that old?
It's really old. I read it when I got to India, and then like I gave it to my cousin or somebody. And there was another great along the same, like, those are like the modern self-helpy guys.
Yeah.
Mark Manson.
Mark Manson, yeah. He used to be a pickup artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it, dude. But that would have summed up to his experience of not giving a shit.
Yeah.
Of forgetting his ego and not having too high expectations and all that stuff. And another, have you read Steal Like an Artist also?
Steal Like an Artist, yeah.
That's a nice
I actually
book.
read that from your, that was on your shelf and I read it.
Oh, in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I gave it to Abai or Tushar or somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that resonated with me too. And this is unrelated to what you were saying, but he was like, since we're so caught up in what everybody is doing and who's going to like us and who's going to hate us, he said like bad stealing, I think copy from one, good stealing, copy from many. Which is people say, oh, he's like the Beatles mixed with Flo Rida, mixed with Mozart.
Yes.
And they're literally saying he stole from three people, but you get what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you're synthesizing something, then that's great. Because no one's going to, shit on someone for making a faster airplane.
For sure. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, wait, you're copying that other guy who made an airplane.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but I actually did it better.
And you're not reinventing the wheel. You're like, I was reading on some script contest. They were talking about how this lady got a script and she was like, oh God, here we go. Another love story of two girls or a guy and a girl falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like stop reading this. But then she kept reading for like one more paragraph, but it's a modern love story of a guy likes girl, girl likes boy, but set against the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse.
Right. Okay. Great.
Which is like, and same thing with your Karen's thing. You're taking pop culture, you're taking zombie stuff.
And we combined it. Yeah.
And I would love to see like, I just really don't know if he likes me while people are like getting eaten in the background.
Oh yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah.
But again, you're taking two worlds and mixing it up and stuff. So
it is tough with art though, because people put a different sort of label on art instead of technology, So lifting someone's idea is awful. If you do someone else's joke, that's terrible. But, like I've definitely done jokes that were inspired by jokes that I've seen other people do. For
sure. Or you talked about Chipotle, but now I was like, oh, I had another idea, but about Chipotle, but I'm not copying your joke. I wouldn't do it on the same show or in the same week, but I would be like, oh yeah, he's talking, dude, every comic has a Tinder bit. Every comic has a freaking, whatever. So like, I agree. And I think most people, myself included, have been guilty of this where I'm so worried about analyzing what other people are doing and who could this offend or who could this not offend or who would care, not care, that I just don't do it.
Yeah. I've been trying to get rid of that too. It's like, anytime I'm doing a joke, I'm like, wait, doesn't that guy have a joke that kind of sounds like that? And then immediately the joke is dead. And I'm like, that sucks. It's like, that sucks. It's like I had an idea and and like my brain feels like blocked, Yeah. So I've stopped doing that,
Well, that's the thing, dude. Who gives a shit? And I think that'll take us home.
Who gives a shit?
No, it's just, dude, if you want to succeed, you have to have a fine balance between, trying to make everybody happy and yourself happy. But, like, I feel like my brain is like there's like 600 browser tabs open at once.
Yeah.
But like the thing I've learned, at least talking to you, is like you said, you're going to get to all of them eventually. But if you constantly try to focus on all 600, none of them are ever going to close or whatever.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's better to do just one thing good than like 60 things okay.
1,000%, but this is the multitasking generation.
That is like a tough thing because I know a lot of people, like one of my friends, her brother makes music and he cranks out a new music track like every week or something. Okay. And it's like so much. And then, but he blew up on Pandora and he just makes a bunch of money on streams. And I'm like, so it's like, there's always two sides of the thing. Like I'm definitely more of the like, go slow, make one thing at a time. And then, but some people are just like prolific but he's definitely sacrificing quality. Like he's cranking out a track a week, but I think if he spent a month on a track, it would be better. But just the way the monetization is working, he's making more money by cranking out a mediocre thing a week. That's not my style, but he's making money, so I'm not going to hate him.
For sure. And eventually, maybe he'll plateau and then he'll go back and he'll start doing it once a month. Yeah. And all that energy from doing 100 days in a row or a week might come back and serve him. Whatever. Everyone is greater than the sum of their parts, but it'll I mean, as long as you're moving, whatever, right? So
Keep moving.
keep moving. You know, life is like a bicycle. If you stop, the bike falls over. You know, so
Oh, boom! Wow, wisdom.
stealing quotes from books I read, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So, Richard, I hope you had a good time today.
Dude, this is baller, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. Guys, you can follow Richard, rsarvate.com. TikTok is Richard Sarvate.
Yeah.
Instagram is
At Richard Sarvate on
at
Instagram.
Richard Sarvate, or just Google him and check out his sketches. They are hilarious. You know, if you have any questions for Richard or me or whoever, just tweet them. What's your Twitter?
Also at Richard Sarvate.
At Richard Sarvate.
Yeah, tweet at me. I'll reply.
Tweet at him, bro. He will reply. Yeah. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. Birdy num.